welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com.
What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined every Monday and Wednesday by my main man, Steven Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Today, we got a fully loaded show for you guys. Very excited to bring it all. Odell Beckham Jr. making headlines for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mel Kiper's latest mock draft has the Steelers landing a sleeper at cornerback. Meanwhile, they signed James Pierre to a new one-year deal. Lamar Jackson is still making news. That is not slowing down anytime soon, but maybe his time in Baltimore is coming to an end. And the Steelers, are they sending some messages with where they are and where they are not attending pro days? Plenty to get into. First, it is a cloudy day here in the Burgh, but yesterday was gorgeous. I think this afternoon's supposed to be gorgeous again. I got a 5 o'clock tea time, so if it doesn't rain, somebody's looking out for me. The universe has their eyes on me today. I'll be feeling good about it. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. This is the off season. This is I don't know. That's this episode feels like a very off season-y episode.
Yes.
Just it's that kind of vibe, but it's good. There's actually it's rare you actually get this much substance in the middle of the off season, but there's actually like stuff to talk about, which is good.
Yeah, there's plenty of headlines, which is cool. Just like you said, they're all like weird. Everything's just kind of like, oh, should we grab this? Yeah, let's grab this one. Mm-hmm. There is one though that's real. It's legit. It's got substance, and it comes right from the source himself. Ben Roethlisberger made news yesterday. Kind of took over Steelers headlines for a little bit there. I think on his podcast. I won't lie to you. Did not watch the latest episode of his podcast, but I read the headlines. I read the stories. He came out and said that last year, after the 49ers lost a second quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, at this point they are down Trey Lance and Jimmy G. They called the future Hall of Famer and said, hey, you want to come play the rest of the season? Ben said that while it didn't ever turn into anything, there were talks and the consideration was there. Could you imagine if we woke up one morning and you looked at your phone and it was Ian Rappaport and he tweeted, Steelers legend Ben Roethlisberger headed to the San Francisco 49ers on a one-year deal?
I would not have believed that. I would have thought, if I saw that, I would have thought someone was messing with me. It is, I don't, there were no other quarterbacks out there. Really, I don't know. Like, maybe it wasn't the worst idea in the world. Ben's not that far removed from his playing career, but first of all, did Ben want to do that? Like, or would Ben have?
According to him, he said his quote was that he could still prove that he could play. That he said they were, I think, reaching out maybe just to gauge my interest. I had discussions. I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a small part of me that was intrigued. I could still do it and prove to people that I could still play. I think that's a direct shot at Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert and the Steelers for saying, well, we think you should retire. We're going to go in a different direction. And he's just like, well, I could still go win a Super Bowl with the 49ers, maybe. Couldn't imagine.
Yeah, and it's like, why does he feel the need to prove that? I don't know.
Oh,
he has had such an accomplished career, and like a more accomplished career than 95% of the quarterbacks who've ever played this game.
Yeah.
And he's still sitting in his home, hanging out with his family, and what was eating at him last season was apparently that he thought he could still play. I don't know. That seems weird, and I feel like Ben should let himself enjoy retirement a little bit more than clearly is.
I think he sounded at the beginning of retirement like he was very excited for it. That I still think that he is. Like he finished off that whole thing by going on I can never see myself playing for anybody but the black and gold little tangent there, which is that's good, respected. But like, I don't know, like I always find it very interesting when quarterbacks specifically come out of retirement. Like Phillip Rivers has said that he wants to come back out. Drew Brees is like a name that gets tossed out there every single season. Tom Brady obviously did it. the Brett Favre days, Aaron Rodgers nonsense that happens every single offseason. It's like once a quarterback hits a certain age, you're like, yeah, you know what? He could win us a Super Bowl, no doubt. But what is the risk reward here for anybody? Like for the San Francisco 49ers, I don't think there was any risk. You bring Ben Roethlisberger in, he doesn't work out. He doesn't work out. For Ben Roethlisberger, you come back into the NFL and you stink. You now stink. You've now pulled a Brett Favre. And that's how we remember Brett Favre. Brett Favre will forever be remembered as the guy who, got into some trouble, and Pat McAfee's getting sued over that. So we're not going to get deep into that. But at the same time, when you think of his playing days, I could care less about the Super Bowl that he won. I could care less about what he did in Green Bay. All I think about is how he sucked with the Jets, and then he was even worse with the Minnesota Vikings, and you just couldn't call it a career. You just don't, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see. Our dad said it our whole lives. At least mine did. I'm going to guess yours did too. You'd like to see a guy go out under his own power. You hate to see them when they just can't give up the game. And I'd be like, yeah, it's true. And I think Ben did it. Like, he pushed it to as far as he could. If he came back, I just didn't see anything good happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't see how this would have worked out for him with
no.
Yeah, I couldn't really see that happening. And it's
no,
like you said, you don't want to see him. What if it did?
What if they won a Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger?
That'd be cool, I guess.
If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, how upset are you?
I'm not upset. I mean,
no, you weren't upset when Brady did it with the Bucs.
No, I mean, not really.
Been upset a little bit.
No, because we were bad now. I don't know. I watched Tom Brady at the very end of his time with the Patriots, and he stunk. His last pass as a Patriot was a pick six in the playoffs.
True.
True. That had run its course, and that's kind of how I felt. And the Bucs, it wasn't like just plugging Tom Brady and back into the Patriots was going to make them a Super Bowl team.
Yeah. I think you'd get a lot of Steelers fans that we would have to talk off the Ben would have won us a Super Bowl ledge last year if he did go win a Super Bowl with the 49ers, which is a totally different team. It would have been wild, though. Would have been wild. Did it change the narrative of Brady? I feel like you have a good perspective on this. Did it ever take away from the legacy of Brady in New England? When you think of Tom Brady, do you still think of him as the New England Patriots' greatest quarterback of all time? That's his label.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know.
Okay.
It's not like that. It's not like that takes away from. He still won those 6. I still remember those. Those all still count. Yeah, I didn't get caught up in a whole the thing is, though, you remember it less as, oh, those are Brady's Super Bowls, and you start to think of them more as oh yeah, there were some other, because there were still guys around who had played on those teams, and you start to think of those guys more than you do when Brady's right there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I don't know. Pittsburgh fans are different. I think there would have been a little bit of ill will towards Ben Roethlisberger, or a lot of hate towards the Pittsburgh Steelers if he went out and just absolutely killed it. And then everybody's like, why would you force him to retire? Kenny Pickett sucks. I could see it. It would have been a great time. Great time. I would have enjoyed it. Next headline. Excuse me. Lots of news. I don't think anything tops Ben Roethlisberger possibly coming back and winning the Super Bowl with the 49ers. That's the other. Do you think a healthy Ben? Do you think they beat the Eagles?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Right, a healthy Ben, even healthy Ben at however old he is, I don't know.
At this point, he's got to be. He might just about be 40 if he's not 40 already. He retired at 38.
You think he's going to be able to dodge Javon Hargrave and Brandon Graham better than, who was it, Josh Johnson, who's in there by the end of the...
for 4 plays? No, Josh Johnson was in there for 3 plays, and then he got a concussion.
Well, and who came in after Josh? So
Brock Purdy. Yeah, he came back in, he couldn't throw the football.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think he's dodging. No way. I still think he's getting hit. I still think they have a shot with any quarterback out there. I think if Josh Johnson stayed healthy, they would have had a shot. But I agree. I don't think anybody was beating the Eagles. And I don't think that they were beating the Chiefs.
Certainly not. No,
nobody had the firepower to beat the Chiefs. The Eagles were as close as it gets, and I think the Eagles were somewhat underrated just because they were in the NFC. I agree. All right, let's talk OBJ. Dan Orlovsky, ESPN and NFL analyst, has gone on a rant for 2 days now. The guy will not give it up. That he believes that Odell Beckham Jr. fits perfectly with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It started on Get Up. Then it went to the Pat McAfee show. His reasoning behind it is that the Steelers have a young quarterback who is cheap, and they already have talent, but you need as much talent as possible to win in the AFC. His reasoning is if you don't have an explosive offense in the AFC, you cannot win, which I agree with. He says that Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, and Odell Beckham Jr. is a mix that gives the Steelers an actual chance with Kenny Pickett. Do you agree with that? Do you think that Odell Beckham is the answer here for the Pittsburgh Steelers? That just he's a guy that you, after a year off of football, you're just like, yeah, well, this guy could come in here and he's worth whatever type of money because he makes the team instantly better.
I don't know if he's worth whatever kind of money, but he does make the team instantly better. I still think he's got it. I still think he could be a good player. That's just I don't know. I feel like his skills are kind of not never going to die, but
yeah.
I don't know.
He's got the hand. He's not old. He's
right.
Like what, 32? 30 years old. He's only 30 years old.
Right. Like
he's still got plenty of time.
Right. I think in a vacuum, yeah. OBJ obviously makes your team that much better and gives Kenny that's the best. That would be automatically the best target that Kenny's ever thrown with. Or the best pass catcher. Yeah. The thing that so there's an injury history there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's pretty significant injury history there. I don't know. So it just seems like it would seem like a desperation move for a team that doesn't need it.
Why don't you think they need it?
Well, not that doesn't need it, but like they don't need to shovel a bunch of money into a big time receiver. Like I guess if it's a 1-year deal or something like that, but
yeah, but I don't think I think OBJ is going to get a deal bigger than a 1-year deal. So I agree with you. I don't think it would be a 1-year deal. I think it would be a little bit longer.
Right now, I don't really know. I think he's a fine player, but I wouldn't want to attach my wagon to OBJ for more than a year.
Yeah, especially at a price tag, an expensive price tag.
Right, and I feel like they've created some cap space for themselves this year, but I don't know. Next year things start to get serious. You know what I mean? Like next year is when they really have to start to compete. We talked about their window the other day. Like the window is open now, but
but next year is the year. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I agree. Next year is you should win a Super Bowl in 2024. I agree. That's just in the time frame of a rookie quarterback, a good rookie quarterback on a good team. I agree. I don't know. He does make the team better, but like, does he make the team that much better compared to going out and drafting somebody or signing other guys that are still on the market that could possibly just come in here and be smaller fillers? I don't know. Like a McCole Hardman's still on the market. Like, does OBJ make a team that much better than McCole Hardman, Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens? Like, right. I don't know.
If you're going to spend that kind of money, I'd go for McCole Hardman over.
Yeah, he's younger. He's younger. He's going to be cheaper. There's not the risk there. There's not the attention there. And the attention is both good and bad because I think on the field, you take a lot of pressure away from George Pickens. They give Odell Beckham. I see where Orlovsky's coming from when it comes to if Odell Beckham's on the field and so is Deontay Johnson and so is George Pickens, you can't double team anybody. You just got to say, well, we'll run with somebody. You know, everybody, safety's going to cover over the top of whoever they pick, but somebody else is going to be wide open. You know, or the running lanes are going to be wide open, or Calvin Austin Jr. is going to have, or Calvin Austin III is going to have a phenomenal season, or Pat Freiermuth's going to catch 100 touchdowns. I get all that, but it doesn't really give you like any room to continue to build this offense because I think once Odell Beckham's in place, you don't really have the need to go draft a wide receiver because what are you going to play that wide receiver off the bench and just say, well, you'll get time when Odell's off the field here. No worries about it. Or do you just use Odell in the slot and then you get somebody on the outside? And then I just think it opens up a lot of questions that the Pittsburgh Steelers do not want to answer, that they have no interest in answering.
Right. And I think it's not forward. It's not a forward. It wouldn't be a forward thinking move in the way that it needs to be.
Spring has sprung, and our friends at Manscaped have the best tools for some spring cleaning. They've already helped you tidy up all the nooks and crannies of your body's basement. But this year, Manscaped could help you get the perfect presentation on that beautiful face with the new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Make sure you look your best this spring by using our code STEELERS20 to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. It's time to tame your mane with the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. The sun is peeking back out, which means you'll have to show your face in the daylight once again. So use the kit to make sure your scruff looks award-winning, whether you got glorious beard flow or some smooth, sleek cheeks. The kit starts off with a Beard Hedger, a waterproof cordless trimmer with a rotary wheel, 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of add-ons. It also comes with titanium coated T-blades that are tough on hair but smooth on your face, leading to single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. The Beard Hedger is a high-tech piece of art in a travel-sized package with a long-lasting battery, universal charging, and a strong motor. Next, the kit has the liquid goods to make you feel good, starting with the beard shampoo and conditioner. You can treat your beard like you treat your pubes. That's why the kit has a special shampoo and conditioner specifically designed to moisturize, reduce ingrown hairs, and replenish your beard's natural oils and promote beard health. The Pro Kit also has Manscaped's beard oil. The nutrient-infused oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin underneath, while still adding a little shimmer and some shine to liven up the look. Cap it off with the Beard Balm, a pomade that shapes, styles, and moisturizes, bringing the amazing scent of fresh eucalyptus, rosemary, and lavender essential oils. Not to mention, the Beard Hedger Pro Kit also comes with 3 free gifts: a beard brush, a comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So, save 20% off and free shipping with our code STEELERS20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with our code STEELERS20 at manscaped.com. Focus on the face and use the Beard Hedger Pro Kit for the cleanest look in the game.
You know, like OBJ is a rental, and that it means you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket for next year. As opposed to if you draft someone, you draft a really talented guy, and then you maybe keep that window open a little bit longer. With OBJ, you're going all in on 1 year, and if it doesn't work, you're in a tough spot.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you just are signing Odell to say, well, we're going to see how good Kenny could be in 2023, like that's cool. I get it. Does Odell want to do that? I don't think so. Does Kenny want to do that? I mean, maybe, but I think if you gave Kenny the choice of drafting Jordan Addison or signing Odell Beckham, he's going to pick Jordan Addison because he's going to say, this is a guy that I could build with. This is a guy that we could turn this into, because Kenny sees it realistically like everybody else. He's a competitor. He wants to win a Super Bowl this year, just like the rest of the Pittsburgh Steelers do. But if you're being realistic, he realizes that this is a long-term adventure. This is not, I have 4 years to do whatever I want to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is, how good can this team be for the next 10 years? Because I'd like to win multiple Super Bowls in the next 10 years. I don't see Kenny Pickett ever being the guy that says, give me $55 million a year. I don't ever see Kenny Pickett being the guy that says, I will not, play because the money isn't right. I see Kenny Pickett being a guy that says, I want to win a bunch of Super Bowls. And I think that he doesn't win a bunch of Super Bowls with Odell Beckham. He might win a couple Super Bowls with a rookie, like even if it's not this year, maybe it's next year, maybe it's the year after. And that's the other thing is, what does Odell bring that a guy who you took in the first round shouldn't bring a year from now? I don't think it's that much different, but I get the point. Like I get where he's coming from. I think Orlovsky's kind of just attached his horse to something and said, all right, we're just going to ride this out
for the rest of the offseason.
This is my narrative. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the Filipponi. It's the, it's all those people who just like, are like, well, Taylor Lewan, man, he's coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's like, I get it. Like you could do that. It does make a little bit of sense. It doesn't make enough sense to ride it out, but
Mhm.
it makes a little bit of sense, I guess. I don't know. Bad move. I think we both agree with that one. We'll get into more wide receivers later, and I am excited to talk about wide receivers because I think it's becoming more aware that the Steelers need options after they let Steven Sims and them actually hit the free agency market and don't seem to be re-signing them or have any interest in re-signing them. But I want to go defense real quick. Mel Kiper's mock draft, I think it's his mock draft 4.0 came out. The Pittsburgh Steelers land Deonte Banks out of Maryland. He's the 4th corner to be drafted following Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr., Devin Witherspoon, and Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. Then it goes Deonte Banks at 17. First off, a lot of corners, ton of corners. I think I could spin this 2 ways. So we're going to talk about wide receiver and maybe how wide receiver might be on an early part of the Steelers draft plans. If 4 corners are already off the board at 17, do you think the Steelers are immediately just like, we have to draft it? We cannot wait because we're going to lose our guy by 32? Or do you think that doesn't mean anything to them whatsoever?
Well, I don't know. Like the fact that Julius Brents is still on the board after 4 corners go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they are going to have options. I would not panic if I were them. Quite honestly, I get what you're saying, but there 5 corners came off the board right there, and there were still a bunch of really good ones to pick from.
Yeah, true.
So I if I'm them, I'm not necessarily panicking. Especially because I feel like in those later rounds, a bunch of receivers are or in those later picks of the first round, a bunch of receivers are gonna come off the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Like people aren't gonna be looking for corners as much after those first 4, and the Steelers can sneak in and take a really good player later in the draft.
So do you think, because at the same time, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed James Pierre to a 1-year deal. Now they have 4 corners, 5, I guess, if you include Arthur Millette. Do you think that need's still there? Like, do you think that maybe the Steelers are kind of like, maybe everybody thinks we need a cornerback, but maybe we don't. Maybe we don't want a cornerback at 17.
I don't know whether, is James Pierre your long-term, are James Pierre and Patrick Patterson, are those your 2?
No.
Or, Akella Witherspoon and Levi Wallace.
Akella Witherspoon. Levi Wallace is a long-term solution. That's a guy they're going to want here for the next couple of years. But Akella Witherspoon's a 1-year. He's got 1 year left to prove it. James Pierre is on a 1-year deal. He's going to continue to be on 1-year deals. It's just like a bottom feeder of the depth chart. Patrick Peterson's got 2 years, though. That's where I think I come into this. Is like Patrick Peterson has 2 years on his deal. The Steelers have a very pressing need at corner, and the cornerback class is loaded. But maybe the cornerback class is loaded, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are saying, well, yeah, but we have, we need a wide receiver. We need a tackle. We need a nose tackle. We need an inside linebacker. We need a safety. Like, maybe the Steelers are looking at this going, everybody thinks we need a corner. We don't really need a corner. Like, we do, but we don't need a corner at 17. We got a lot of things that we could get at 17. Am I wrong there?
No, I guess not. But I still feel like they have to take a corner somewhere, and I feel like
I agree.
To not use one of these top end picks, either 17 or 32 on a corner, maybe 49. But
that's where I'm thinking. That's where, as crazy as it sounds, as crazy as it sounds, for just following their pro days, because it's all about the trends. And if people want to tell me I'm wrong about the Jordan Addison pro day thing, maybe I'm right about this. The Steelers have very much so avoided cornerback pro days for the most part. They went to Iowa's, who Lucas Van Ness, Jack Campbell, middle linebacker, edge rusher, defensive tackle type guy. Iowa State, Will McDonald, Anthony Johnson Jr., nickelback, and Xavier Hutchinson, who's a wide receiver. They're going to be in Ohio State today. Jackson Smith-Njigba. I was going to say CJ Stroud, but not CJ Stroud. DeJuan Jones. Excuse me. Paris Johnson Jr. Doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's not, the trend does not say the Pittsburgh Steelers have their eyes on a bunch of cornerbacks. What if and then Clemson, which was Murphy, Brisset, and
Simpson.
What if the Steelers went offensive pick, whatever, at 17, another pick at 32? Excuse me, I got something in my throat. And then a cornerback at 49 because they still think that they could get somebody. Julius Brents isn't even being talked about as a first-round pick. He could slide to 49. He could be sitting there easy at 49. You could get a guy. I don't know. I'd have to go deeper down this list, but Cam Smith isn't being talked about in those first 17 to 32 picks. Maybe that's another guy. You know what I mean? Like you said it yourself, guys are going to go in different positions at the end of the first. What if they wait till 49 and they're just like, well, guys, like what? We don't have a pressing need here. We have Patrick Peterson. He's a future Hall of Famer. We'll be just fine.
Right. And I guess if Keely Ringo's not going in those top, did you mention Ringo?
Keely Ringo. Yeah, he wasn't even in those top. That's another one. So if Keely Ringo's not there, Cam Smith is still on the board, and Julius Brents is still on. Those are three more corners to go by 32. There's zero chance. You don't make it to the playoffs because you need a cornerback. That just does no. Like that, no. Brian Branch is still on the board at that point. There are names, there are a lot of names. Meanwhile, though, you look at the wide receivers, you look at the offensive tackles, you wait too long on either of those, you've missed out. It's now developmental pieces. Inside linebackers, I think they all stink. I think the Steelers like them and they don't want to miss their guy at 32. It's just, I don't know. I could see it changing up. I could see it very much so changing up. Just following the trends. My thought, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, Deonte Banks is a stud and possibly my favorite corner in this draft. And I'm drafting him. But I'm not the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I'm just interested why, corner was the talk of everything before through the combine. I felt like corners were talk of the draft, especially for the Steelers. And I wonder I'm not entirely sure what changed, like how that kind of how the cornerback market kind of fell to the wayside in favor of a lot of other things. I'm interested. I don't know.
I think that the wide receivers were overlooked, especially by me, because I looked at the wide receivers and I thought for certain Steven Sims was coming back. Had a hard time believing he wasn't coming back. I thought that Miles Boykin would be back. He's not coming back either. It doesn't look like. So you're now down to 4 wide receivers, and really you're down to 2.5 because I don't include Gunner in that conversation, and Calvin Austin hasn't played an NFL snap. So I think they have put themselves in a situation where they need a wide receiver. Didn't see that one coming. I also thought they'd sign a wide receiver by now. That hasn't happened. So, you're still questioning their motives there. The offensive line, I still feel the same as the way I felt. I think the Orlando Brown stuff kind of threw me for a loop a little bit for me to say, oh, well, maybe they are interested in somewhat of a bigger option, a better option at left tackle. You never know. And their glowing interest in Trenton Simpson makes me think maybe they will go there. It's just their lack of, they spent a lot of time at the NFL Combine scouting these corners and meeting with these corners. But ever since then, it's just it's been multiple other positions. And you know what I mean? They didn't get rid of Akella Witherspoon. I thought that would be a telling sign. It just to me, it's just I think that if Cam Sutton was here, you draft a guy to be the building block because Levi Wallace is leaving. Now I look at it as you draft somebody to learn behind Patrick Peterson, but the plan is to keep to keep Levi Wallace longer than what you have him now. So you have 2 years to get whoever you draft star ready to be that guy who replaces Patrick Peterson. And I don't think that's as pressing at 17 as it was, you know what I mean, when it was supposed to be the guy that replaces Levi Wallace in a year.
Yeah, that makes sense. That I agree with that. I can't get around. I still think they need a top end talent at corner.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know why they wouldn't. They still need I still feel like this cornerback room is much more short-term solutions to long-term problems, and I feel like they could use But I do, yeah. They're going to be guys, and they're going to be bigger names that you got to hit on early that you can't really miss on. I was so locked in on getting a corner and a different corner, quite honestly, so early in with that number 17 pick that you got to kind of reframe how you think when you
There was a time where we literally talking about double dipping at corner.
Right.
And now we're like, maybe they'll just let him slide. And you don't know. And I think that leads us into our next topic, which is their pro day approach, which they did not go to Jordan Addison's. People are losing their mind about the fact that they did not go to USC's pro day. Meanwhile, they went to Iowa State's and Iowa's instead. They're headed to Ohio State's today. Just to give everybody a little rundown of the land here, for those who do not follow the Pittsburgh Steelers scouting trail as well as others, the Steelers have a few staples. Their staples are Clemson. They always start at Clemson. Then they go to Georgia. They hit Ohio State's. Most of the time they go to Penn State. Not always. Honestly, a little bit of a hit or miss thing type there. They always go to Pitts. And then they just kind of like make their way around from there. On the other side of that, they never go to the West Coast. Literally ever. Like they just, no matter who is coming out of wherever they need to go, they do not go to the West Coast. They've gone there in my existence of being a Pittsburgh Steelers follower. They've gone there one time. It was to Stanford back when I was like 10 years old because they were scouting David DeCastro, who they ended up picking with their first round pick. Besides that, they don't make the move. They don't go over there. People are acting as if Jordan Addison should have changed that rule and the Pittsburgh Steelers should have went to USC to watch Jordan Addison, and that shows that they are no longer interested in Jordan Addison. Do you follow that notion, or do you think that the Pittsburgh Steelers just made a call that they believe fits them better instead of going to scout Jordan Addison?
I think they know what Jordan Addison is. I think they know what kind of player they would get if they were to draft him. I think they needed to simply see more of guys like Will McDonald and Lucas Van Ness and Xavier Hutchinson. I think that had more to do with it than their interest in Jordan Addison. They watched Jordan Addison up close and personal. They got a firsthand testimony from a quarterback that he was really successful with and played a lot of football with.
Yep.
I think I don't know how much more evaluating they have to do with Jordan Addison. They whatever testing numbers they need or whatever they could get from, I don't know, literally Twitter of Jordan.
You're telling me that they didn't want to go watch him catch passes from a quarterback who isn't Kenny Pickett after watching him in shorts, and while instead of scouting 3 valuable guys on the same day, they're just going to go to USC and scout that one guy, catch some passes in shorts.
I know
if he does drills.
I know it's crazy, but
that's just the point. Like there are so many people who are going to disagree with this and say, oh, well, you know, the Steelers didn't go, that shows they're done. They're fit. They have the film. They watched the film for a whole year. It was at Pitt with the guy that they're worried about catching a football from. The player that they this is what Kenny Pickett provides. And you just explained a lot of it. Kenny Pickett provides the scouting report that you need on Jordan Addison. Who is Jordan Addison? Who is he as a player? Who is he in the locker room? Who is he as a teammate to a quarterback? Boom. Kenny Pickett's got all those answers for you. How hard of a worker is he? Kenny Pickett's got those answers for you. Can he catch the football from Kenny Pickett? Well, the film at Pitt gives you the answers to that question. You want to know what going to USC's Pro Day does? Absolutely nothing. Not a thing whatsoever. It tells the masses that you are interested in Jordan Addison, which is something the Pittsburgh Steelers do not want to do, is tell the masses that they are interested in a player. Meanwhile, they went to Iowa State, who provides a possible first-round wide receiver, a defensive back that they are very interested in Anthony Johnson Jr., who could play safety and nickelback, and they feel that is a very valuable need for them right now. And Will McDonald is a possibility at not only 17, not only 32, but possibly 49 off the edge, which is a position that they still very much so need. So instead of going to watch Jordan Addison catch passes in shorts from somebody they could care less is throwing the football, they went to Iowa State. And it means absolutely not. If anything, I think I am more on the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to draft Jordan Addison train after this move than beforehand. Just because they hit it. They said, well, why would we go there? We know what we see out of Jordan Addison. That's important.
Yeah, I buy that. Like they're comfortable with the guy he is, and whether they're going to draft him or not, I think they know by now.
Yes, they have all their Jordan Addison answers, and they do not need any more of them. And them not going there and that's the difference is like, I think the offensive line drills are also stupid. Like I think pro day and NFL combine drills are absolutely pointless outside of the 40-yard dash for certain positions and I guess the bench press. But like, the on-field drills mean nothing. I could care. Nobody sits there and goes, just see how fast that guy just ran through those bags. First round pick. No doubt. Nobody does that. Stanford going to watch David DeCastro. I got that one, but I think it was more of let's learn who David DeCastro is off the field. They don't need to do that with Jordan Addison. They have the best reference humanly possible in Kenny Pickett. Like their scouting is done on this guy. There's no need to worry about it. I don't know if he makes it to 17. I think people are going to lose their minds, but people did it last year with Kenny Pickett, the whole, and there are years past, Juju Smith-Schuster. The Steelers did not go to USC's pro day to attend. They didn't even talk to Juju at the combine. They just drafted him. Like they just NFL teams have so many resources. It is wild. Like the trail that they leave for us to follow is literally nothing. It is a singular breadcrumb, not even breadcrumbs. There is one breadcrumb of the entire network that they have telling them information on these players that they are looking to draft. I agree. I think Jordan Addison is, if anything, I might put him as my 17th pick in my mock draft that drops Monday. Might happen. I think I'm sold on it, actually. Jordan Addison, 17, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Lock it in.
Let's get it. Lock them in. It means nothing. It means nothing. If anything, I'm very curious about their thoughts on Anthony Johnson Jr.
Right.
I think that's
like
a name to watch now.
And they were looking at Xavier Hutchinson too. Like, where do those guys?
Yep.
I don't know.
Will McDonald, why they go, are they intrigued in Will McDonald if he slides to 32? Like, there are way more questions that come with that than worrying about Jordan Addison. Way more. It just doesn't even make sense. All right. Last thing I want to talk about, non-Pittsburgh Steelers related, but also very Pittsburgh Steelers related. Lamar Jackson drama is still going on. We've touched on it, I think, more than anybody else in the entire world about how the Baltimore Ravens just continue to lose their quarterback. According to Pro Football Focus's Mike Florio, or Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio, Lamar Jackson and his camp want, or his representatives, I guess, say that they want out of Baltimore. They are ready to move on from the Baltimore Ravens. I think we all kind of expected that. At this point, it's just waiting to see if anything ever happens. I don't think that needle has moved much. But I think it's also time to acknowledge that the Baltimore Ravens are done with Lamar Jackson. His era there has gone. If you are the Ravens, what do you even do? How do you handle this situation? You can't prepare as if Lamar is going to be on the franchise tag this year and play. Do you draft a quarterback? Are the Baltimore Ravens now a team that are looking for a quarterback? Or do you just rock with Tyler Huntley and say, hey, well, look at this guy nearly won us a playoff game against a Cincinnati Bengals team that played, maybe we should rock with him.
That's a dangerous thing, too, because if you're sticking with Tyler Huntley, you're risking missing out on Caleb Williams next year, which if you're going to lose Lamar Jackson.
Or if you're sticking with Tyler Huntley, you're risking getting Caleb Williams next year because Tyler Huntley stinks.
That's ideal. That is ideal. That is literally an ideal scenario for them. But I don't know, like Tyler Huntley, I guess he didn't play for most of the season last year, but
no, he's not a good quarterback.
I feel like he's capable enough to get them a bad draft pick, but not good enough to make that bad draft pick worth it.
Yeah. He's not pick 1. He's like pick 9, which you're like, it's cool if you didn't need a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
If you didn't actually absolutely need the first overall pick to get the guy that you needed.
Yes. Yeah. You need a top 3 pick if you're a quarterback needy team. I don't even know the other quarterbacks that are coming out next year outside of Caleb Williams. I don't think they're Phil Jerkovich out of Pitt.
Yeah, there we go.
He's coming out. Keith Slovis out of BYU is coming out. 2 big hitters right there. Is that the goal now? Are the Baltimore Ravens officially in rebuild mode? They built this phenomenal defense. They have the league's best running game outside of Philadelphia, I guess. But Philadelphia just lost their running back, and you're just
Give me some picks, man. Go like
that's what they're doing. That's
I
the
don't know.
game plan.
I'm always team like blow it up. If you're not like competing for the
I
Super
agree.
Bowl, my
I agree.
focus tends to go elsewhere, and I just think like why I don't know. Like, well, especially for the Ravens, like I don't know. You're not like sure you have this great defense, but that's going to keep you in more games than I think you don't. That I think they don't want to be in.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And
If you signed or if you stick with Tyler Huntley, and people are out here making a case for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go sign OBJ because they need a more explosive offense. The Baltimore Ravens, I don't care how good the defense is, which it wasn't as good as Pittsburgh's last year, and they're losing their starting corner. They just lost their starting defensive tackle in Calais Campbell. Patrick Queen wants out. I mean, it's blowing up. I agree. The team blow up is certainly on board. The Steelers are actually, it's ironic that they dropped in the same day, but as this news came out, betonline.ag, who sends out a billion emails and very appreciative of them, sent one out where the Pittsburgh Steelers have the lowest odds, so the longest odds, I guess, to win the AFC North. Baltimore second, I think at plus 250. Pittsburgh's plus 450. I mean, why? I just don't get the.
how are the Browns?
The Browns are at plus 400, so barely, but that's the Deshaun Watson effect. It doesn't make any sense, but people are going to carry that on forever. I just don't get how people are still under the interpretation that the Baltimore Ravens are a thing this year. You know, they can't be a thing this year without a quarterback. I don't care how good you are. You can't be a thing this year without a quarterback. Do they go out and get let's read the top available quarterbacks for them to go sign right now. Top of the list, according to Spotrac, is Carson Wentz.
Hell yeah.
That's the move right there. 37-year-old Matt Ryan. Wow. Possibility. He's not done, although he is getting guaranteed $13 million. So if I was him, I'd take the year off. Maybe think about it next year. Tom Brady at 45, coming out of retirement to join the worst passing game in football. Teddy Bridgewater. Interesting name. Okay. Most interesting name on this list so far. Mason Rudolph. Sitting right there, 27 years old, young, could throw the football, has experience, hates the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's true. He does hate the Steelers. He would be motivated for those 2 games.
That would be huge. Yeah, if you're gonna sign anybody to say, hey, look, all we just want to win those 2 games this season. Mason Rudolph is the guy. He's especially if for some reason at all Kenny Pickett goes down and isn't able to play in one of those games, and it's Mitch Trubisky versus Mason Rudolph. That's what the NFL has been waiting for. That is what Pittsburgh's been waiting for. That is what Mason Rudolph's been waiting for. Here's an interesting name. Joe Flacco, 38 years old, free agent, coming off a year with the Jets where I thought he played well when he played. Didn't play good, but played well enough. He's got a Super Bowl in Baltimore. You bring him back. I think even if you bring him back and say, hey, you're behind Tyler Huntley until Tyler Huntley isn't good anymore, he'd be okay with that.
You'd sell some jerseys or something. You'd sell some merch about like the Joe Flacco comeback at the very least.
Yep. There's a lot of love for Joe Flacco in Baltimore. A lot of love.
I don't know if he's necessarily an upgrade over Tyler Huntley, but
nah, I don't think so either. But I don't know who is. Mason Rudolph's not an upgrade over Tyler Huntley. Maybe a little bit. Maybe throwing the football.
Yeah, I could see that.
But there are no upgrades. The Baltimore Ravens are sitting in the middle of the draft behind the Pittsburgh Steelers in the draft trying to find a quarterback. That's
the worst place to be.
They are in the worst possible situation right now. And it's a month ago. Is it a month ago now? We talked about how the Baltimore Ravens this is it. This is the beginning of the end. And people blew us up. They were like, you guys are the dumbest people alive. I can't believe that you believe this. Oh, I was getting hate mail I still get the DMs like every other day of some random guy in Baltimore whose Twitter name is like Michael McBaltimore coming at you live. Being like, I can't believe you're dumb enough to think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to stink this year. I'm like, well, buddy, I don't know who's playing quarterback for you, okay, right now. But last year I watched Anthony Brown Jr. play, and he was not good. So you fall into that situation again, yeah, you're in a lot of trouble. you're in a lot of trouble as an organization. Yeah, Baltimore's sinking. They're sinking fast. I agree. Blow up mode has to be in full effect. It's
not looking
it's
good.
a fun time. No, it's not looking good. And if you're a believer that the Pittsburgh Steelers or that the Cincinnati Bengals might have a little bit of a dip year and you want to go hit that 450, I would hammer that on the Pittsburgh Steelers because I have no faith in the Cleveland Browns and I have no faith in Baltimore. Honestly, if you could find somewhere where you could bet the Steelers finish second in the AFC North, that's the easiest bet you can make all season.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even bet again. I would just make that bet. And
right,
I would
who cares
wait
who wins? I know.
Yeah, I'd wait till week 18 and be like, well, we just cashed out big. Thank you very much. It was worth the wait. Merry Christmas. That's what right around Christmas time be the best little Christmas splurge of all time. People getting great gifts. Yeah, agreed. It's a good time. Bad time for the Baltimore Ravens. Great time for everybody else in the AFC North. And maybe except for the Cleveland Browns. But good time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Loaded week. Thank you guys for jumping on. We'll have plenty more on Friday when me and Derek jump on here. Plus next week, hopefully we have some more signings and some draft talk to talk about. Enjoy your week. Thank you guys for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to find us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts and check out all of mine and Steven's work at allsteelers.com. Like I said, I will be back on Friday with Derek. Enjoy. Peace.